Commissioners, welcome to the Wednesday, April 29th, 2026 meeting of the Clark County Charter Review Commission. Thank you for being here. Would you please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Pledge allegiance
of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Ottaguame,
Present.
Commissioner Donnelly,
Present.
Commissioner LeBrant,
Here.
Chair Erickson,
Here.
Secretary Garber,
Here.
Commissioner Hamlick,
Here.
Commissioner Chrisley,
Here.
Commissioner Landisberg,
Here.
Commissioner Jay,
Here.
Commissioner Klein,
Here.
Commissioner Gasquet,
Here.
Commissioner Holmgren,
Here.
Commissioner Benton,
Here.
Vice Chair Haas,
Here.
and Commissioner Silliman,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Note that Commissioners Landisberg and Hamlick are online. Commissioners Hamlick and Landisberg, we'll try to make sure that if you have your hand up, we'll call on you. I'll ask Secretary Garber and Vice Chair Haas to help me keep track of that. We'll next seek approval of the agenda. The Executive Committee has no proposed revisions. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Moved, Donnelly.
Seconded, Jay.
Okay, seeing no discussion, it's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda in its current format. Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the agenda is approved. Thank you. We'll next move to open public comment.
I'm sorry, I didn't know your job got taken.
Michelle, can you tell us who we have signed up, please?
Yes, did you want to read the disclaimer, Chair?
Yes.
Do you want me to zoom in a little bit more?
No, I have it here. Thank you. Clark County Charter Review Commission welcomes and encourages public comment. Public comment provides an opportunity for members of the community to share input with the Charter Review Commission. Comments should focus on issues relevant to the Commission's responsibilities. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes. The microphone will be automatically turned off once the time limit is reached. The Commission will listen to comments but will not engage in discussion during the public comment period. During public comment period, speakers are asked to keep remarks respectful and focused on Commission business. Remarks concerning private activities or beliefs of others, individual county employees or elected officials, or matters unrelated to the work of the Commission fall outside the purpose of public comment. Disruptive, uncivil, or defamatory conduct is not permitted. Thank you for taking the time to participate in this process. With that, Michelle, could you please let us know who has signed up?
Julie Kep.
Hello. Okay, good evening, Julie Kep, District 2. First, I want to say that I've been watching the CRC meetings religiously for these many months, and I've been really impressed with the commissioner's work ethic and frankly, your mental and physical stamina to sit here in these meetings for 2 or 3 hours straight. And as long as your meetings are and as demanding as they are, I realize that the time you spend in this room isn't even the half of it. For some of you, this must feel like a second full-time job. At any rate, kudos to all of you and to your staff for all the time you spend on this. Along with the Charter Review Commission meetings, I've been following the Clark County Council meetings for over a year. I've learned a lot about how the county government and the council functions, but I certainly have a long way to go before I really feel educated. That said, I sometimes wonder if all of the commissioners in this room have been as diligent in following council meetings, past and present, and educating themselves on the real-world challenges the council electeds and county executives face, given the time, staff, and budget constraints the county faces. I think it's probably easier to campaign for Charter Review Commissioner on hot button topics such as public safety, requiring a supermajority to raise county taxes, or instituting term limits. But are these issues really what amending the charter is all about? And how would this really affect county government? At any rate, I'm bugging people I know to start paying attention to your work here, especially now that amendments are being finalized in study committee presentations. Because the devil really is in the details on some of these amendments. And if some of them make it onto the ballot, it'll take more than a quick glance at titles to really know what the amendment is all about. Anyway, thank you again, and I look forward to bringing people to your upcoming town halls. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Carmen De Leon.
Hello, my name is Carmen De Leon, and I go by Mello. When I was in the other room with you guys, I told you I would talk to you about the city of Vancouver because I do not know what your pull is on the city and their criminality, which they have become very complacent and happy with because they're getting away with it over and over and over, and it's getting close to being by the billions. So part of my testimony, I hope you can hear it because this is the proof it's just 15 seconds, and this was public testimony, and please listen to my public testimony.
Excuse me,
Huh?
is your testimony with respect to the work of the Charter Review Commission?
Yeah,
Can you share with us how this recording relates to the Charter Review Commission?
because I want you to see the amount of criminality going on in the city of Vancouver by the city mayor.
Okay, I don't believe that's relevant to the Charter Review Commission.
How come? So who's in charge of Vancouver? Because I asked Sue Marshall, I said, if the city of Vancouver keeps getting away with ripping people off for millions and millions of dollars, who's in charge of Vancouver?
Well, this is the Clark County Charter Review Commission. This is not a body that oversees Vancouver City policies or operations.
So then who's in charge of the city of Vancouver? Because I have
The
called
city of Vancouver, the city of Vancouver. but not the
And
Charter
they're
Review.
lying and they're committing crimes on a daily basis. They're abusing the public. They're misusing the
All right,
taxpayers' money.
if you have comments with respect to the Charter Review Commission, we would like to encourage you to
Okay,
continue.
so you don't care what Vancouver does.
If you have comments with respect to the Charter Review Commission, we would welcome them.
Well, that's why I'm asking, what is your position on the city of Vancouver being run by criminals? And by constantly lying to people. I mean, they're telling people that they had 5,000 people crossing the bridge and there's only 900. And it's 450 because it's round trip.
Excuse me, your comments are not related to the Charter Review Commission. So if
Okay.
they're not related to the Charter Review Commission,
Then I don't know what you're doing here because if the cities can do whatever they want and keep getting away with it, what are you good for? Who's in charge of who? Who's in charge of them? I called the governor. I called the,
Michelle, I think the microphone should be cut off.
It's done. Bradley Brenham.
My name is Bradley Branham. I'm District 5, and I hope everybody's well tonight. And I mumble a lot, so I'll get a little closer. All right, as to 2637, I am concerned that granting the legislative branch the authority to compel public testimony represents an unnecessary and severe mechanism that risks enabling lawfare, political weaponization, and public spectacle. During the questions period, several commissioners highlighted the fact that the county already has investigative tools Subsequent discussions revealed that the primary intent of this amendment is to compel information in response to the citizens' grievances. It was also made clear that the council frequently experiences difficulty in obtaining the information it believes necessary for legislative action. The study committee may wish to consider whether a more balanced structural solution exists. For example, the charter could authorize a subpoena power limited strictly to subpoenas duce tecum for information only, thereby supporting legislative fact-finding without enabling compelled personal testimony. Such a framework could foster a constructive adversarial dynamic between branches of government, reinforcing checks and balances while avoiding the risk associated with compelled public appearances. Under this model, the county council could obtain the information it needs to legislate effectively, while the executive branch could retain appropriate protections against political misuse and investigative authority. And this brings me to a controversial statement. It's that as to 2615 and 2618, anyone who's lived and worked in Clark County for more than 25 years is familiar with the intense political controversy and routinely surrounds issues such as light rail policy, perceived mission creep, tolling, and interstate rivalries. These topics reliably generate public conflict. I have reviewed all publicly available information related to Belcott v. Clark County, and I strongly encourage the study committees of Amendment 2615, as well as the sponsors of 2618 and 2027, to do the same. Read all the public testimony. A reasonable observer might conclude that the political disputes and legal actions surrounding these matters risk crossing ethical boundaries. The county may benefit from a structural safeguard within the charter, the one that prevents future instances of politically motivated legal action that could lead to adverse federal judgments or public criticism from prosecutors in neighboring jurisdictions. A well-established guardrail could help to ensure that legitimate policy disagreements do not escalate into conspiratorial and retaliatory lawfare, thereby protecting.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Tracy, is the last name Sheets? Thank you.
Do I have to push? Tracy Sheets, as a voter in District 2, I'd like to voice my support. As a voter in District 2, I'd like to voice my support for proposed amendment 2632, whistleblower protections for county employees. The protections listed would incentivize disclosures from those who are most likely to witness violations. We all hope that we would do the right thing when pressed. However, when faced with this possibility of termination, demotion, retaliation, the decision to report becomes difficult for most, especially in this economy. We should want to encourage reporting, as whistleblowers have direct and daily access to information, oftentimes more aware of nuance, familiar with the information, and less costly than an auditor. There are a few benefits for whistleblowers other than performing the public service of oversight and upholding ethical standards. I ask that they are afforded basic protections when doing so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's the last person that I do have signed up. Was there somebody else that didn't get a chance to sign up that wanted to speak? Go ahead, ma'am. And when you come up to the mic, if you could go ahead and state your name for the record.
Hi, Commissioners. Joyce Haley, Northwest 917th Way, District 2. I will reiterate Julie's, no, backwash, please. Backwash, whatever. Anyway, Julie's thanks for your work and service. I've written to the Commission to express my support for 2615 and 2632, calling for much needed stronger guardrails for ethical and law-abiding behavior. I'll also add my support for 2601 with its common sense potential to save taxpayer funds and also placing public service over some possible candidate self-serving fundraising. Primarily this evening, I'll address two amendments labeled as public safety, 2612 and 2626, which call for more money for Clark County Sheriff's deputies. First, an objection to the way the term public safety is used here. Public safety begins long before sheriff's deputies hit the streets. There are many ways to address public safety. Directing more taxpayer dollars towards sheriff's deputies should be a last resort. Instead, public safety goals can be met by investing in public education, affordable housing, mental health programs, and job training. Such community-focused actions address the root causes of crime. Second, it would be extremely unwise to lock the county into a level of spending on the sheriff's department that disregards the county's overall budget and income. There's already 70% of the budgets on spending on criminal justice, and allocating more would be LA stupid. By that, I refer to how in 2023, Los Angeles locked itself into a contract with its police. It's now a contract that they cannot afford. As a result, basic services are being set aside, including when a street light goes out in LA, it's a year before they can replace the bulb, which is also a public safety issue. In sum, if you really want to address public safety, please get creative and caring and address the root causes of crime. And whatever you do, don't commit to spending money we may not have and leave us all stumbling around in the dark. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
I believe that that's all we have signed up, Chair. That concludes public comment.
Okay. Thank you for those who has taken the time to be here and share comments with us. Next, move on to approval of the minutes from our April 22nd, 2026 meeting. There is one clarification. At the end of our meeting, there was some discussion about the extent to, or whether or not there was a second to a motion that had been under consideration. Had been brought up that our bylaws allow for slight deviations from Robert's rules. For example, if there is no mention of a second, and going back and looking or listening to the recording, there was a second. So that we want to make sure that that was clarified. Are there any other comments or proposed revisions to our minutes? Commissioner, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding item 7 in our minutes, I do think that as a body, we've seen that a lot of the ways that the public has engaged with our meetings in the past is through reading the minutes. And I think it would be prudent to include a bit more exposition on the comments from the guest speakers that we have. Just stating that, you know, Councilor Young came and spoke on several proposed charter amendments doesn't really give the public who might read those minutes that level of detail of what those comments were, especially if they don't have time to go back and listen to the entire meeting. So I think it might be worth having us include a bit more of that detail in the minutes. And so that's my only comment on them. Not certain what the rest of the commission thinks.
Thank you. That question has been posed by a member of the public as well. And Secretary Garber looked into that. So I'd like to let Commissioner Garber comment on that first.
Thank you. Well, first of all, as far as being in the minutes are to be action items. And it takes a lot to put everybody's information down, what they're speaking about. What we would like to do is get the written comments from our speakers, and that could be provided. I reached out to Councilor Young to see if we could get his written comments, but I think that would it would make sense. But to ask to put it in the minutes is really quite an undertaking. Takes a lot more time for the staff to bring all that together.
Thank you, Secretary Garber. And I'm not advocating for transcribing word by word what they've said, but I think there's a middle ground there between just the 3-sentence summary and including a bit more of the intent of their comments, as it were.
It looks like we have some discussion on that. Vice Chair Haas, then we'll go to Commissioner Sillen.
I'm just wondering if for efficiency, it wouldn't be more efficient just to add it as an addendum to the back of the minutes, have each speaker submit their points and then add them as an addendum. And that way we don't have to recreate them in the minutes.
Commissioner Sillen.
To kind of concur with that, if the speakers provide their written statements, I see no problem with adding them to the end of the minutes, but it does become cumbersome if somebody covers 7 topics in their speech. Which topics do we highlight? And are we showing bias by documenting some of their testimony and not other parts? It kind of becomes problematic, and these meetings are recorded. So somebody that says they testified is free to go back and see exactly what the details are that they spoke to by looking up the video. So I think we get problematic as soon as we start picking which details we're going to include in the minutes. Thank you.
I would be open to an addendum, Chair, if that's possible.
Okay. Commissioner Gasky, did you have your hand up? Oh, okay. Secretary Garber.
I think there's also many times that we'll have speakers who come and stand at the podium without notes, and they would not be able to provide that information. And we cannot require them to create a public record where there is no public record. But if they do bring written comments, we could get them out.
Commissioner Lagami.
Thank you, Chair. I think that's a good compromise. So obviously, we can't ask every member of the public who's interested to go back and listen to those recordings and get their entire comments. But if they are willing to bring something written that can be added to the minutes, then I believe we should ask that of them. So thank you for that discussion.
Yeah, I agree with the discussion. I think we should let the speaker's own notes speak for themselves and not task the commission with trying to summarize a 15-minute presentation and risk not accurately summarizing that. So the executive committee can reach back out to past speakers and alert future speakers that they can and are encouraged to submit written materials. And if they do, then we will add that as an addendum to our minutes. Okay. With that, are there any other proposed revisions or discussions around our April 22nd meeting minutes? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
LeBrant, so moved.
Seconded, Klein.
Okay, I believe Commissioner Chrisley jumped in there a little bit sooner. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes in their current format, with the exception that they will reflect that there was a second on that one discussion topic. Are there any opposed? Okay, seeing none, the minutes are approved with that modification. We'll next move to executive committee reports, and we'll start, please, with Secretary Garber.
Thank you, Chair. The only thing I would like to bring up, now that we're doing the study committee presentations, you're also required to provide the ballot resolution worksheet at the same time you provide the study committee presentation. Please provide that as a Word document. Makes it much easier to put it on the website. Now, when you send that, you're also sending it to the executive committee, but we need an official handoff to the drafting committee. Right now, the drafting committee does not have a chair. So the 2 that we listened to tonight, if they move into study committee, please make sure you send them to the executive committee. You send them to Michelle. I believe you also send them to the PA. And make sure that I'm included for this week as part of the executive. Next week, we will have a chair for our committee, and we will give you the name of the person that you would, going forward, make sure that you've copied them also. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Garber. Vice Chair Haas, please.
Okay, I worked with purchasing and their team They did a great job of pushing through this RFQ for the Scribner services. It was being held up waiting for an insurance review. That's been moved past now. So it has been posted and sent out to, I think there's 19 different groups that they have identified, including all the 4 that we gave them and then some others. It's due back May 12th by 4 p.m. It's posted on our website for anybody who wants to go get it and fill it out. And then I will email it to all of the commissioners tomorrow in case you have somebody specific you identify that you want to make aware of it. I think that's it. We should know on the 12th.
Thank you, Vice Chair. On behalf of the commission, we appreciate your work in facilitating that. I do believe that it was emailed out already. And so all the members of the commission should have that already, and we encourage the commissioners to share that with your network in the event that there's someone out there who is qualified and interested in assisting us.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
I have just one comment, and it's a friendly reminder, commissioners, now that we are into committee reports and we are taking very consequential votes, I just want to remind us of a portion of our bylaws around ethics. I'm just going to read that. Section 18, commissioners shall comply with the Clark County Code of Ethics and disclose any potential conflicts of interest related to charter proposals. No commissioner shall participate in deliberations or votes on matters where they have a direct personal gain or financial interest. We've discussed that before, but as we are moving into a different phase of our deliberation process, we wanted to just make sure that was top of mind. Okay, there are no other comments from the executive committee. We'll move on next to comments by County Treasurer Alicia Topper, please. And Treasurer Topper, we appreciate you being here. We've got 15 minutes for you to speak with us and then take comments or questions. And please begin when you're ready.
And
Make sure everything's turned on. Okay, so I'm going to do this a little differently than the other elected officials that joined you. I'm going to share a little bit about my office and how it relates to the county charter, and I will leave time for questions. And I apologize for that echo. So next slide, please. My agenda today is going to be really specific. I'm going to talk about the overview, states down to the county, talk about my office and the 3 divisions. So as you know, there are 39 counties in the state of Washington, and we are political subdivisions of the state. We are basically instructed to carry out the state's mandated functions, and that is true for the treasurer's office. Everything I do is mandated in state statute. I am a part of the executive branch as outlined in the charter, and I am given my budget to carry out my work by the county council based on the recommendations of the county manager. The auditor, assessor, and the treasurer, in terms of focus on finance, the charter got it right. We have control of different parts of the financial system, and you can go to the next slide, please. The assessor values property. The treasurer takes that tax roll, and I bill, collect, and distribute that revenue. And the auditor oversees the accounting and compliance. That is really important because it separates the roles to prevent any one office from controlling the full flow of money. It's a natural system of cross-verification, and this independence protects taxpayers, strengthens accountability, and it builds public trust in how we handle public funds. My office specifically has 4 core functions. I bill and collect taxes. I invest monies that aren't needed for immediate expenditure. I handle the debt management for not only the county, but all of the junior taxing districts. And I also am the bank of the county. I have a vision, which is the next slide, to provide the best customer experience and be the leading expert in treasury management. That is seen when the state auditor comes to my office and asks my team to participate in how we handle ACH deposit policies and other best practices through fiscal responsibility. My mission is to be the locally trusted source for protecting public funds, and we do that work through three primary goals: reliability, accuracy, and accountability, superior service, continuous improvement, and collaboration and teamwork. And we do that work through a strategic plan. So my office does manage a strategic plan, and we update it annually, and every single team member's performance evaluations go right to our goals. We are the treasurer for not only the county, this is really important for charter review commissioners to know, but I'm also the treasurer for the school districts, the fire districts, the library districts, the cemetery districts, and all the other small special assessments like mosquito control and Southwest Clean Air Agency and others. So when the county is funding my office and my FTEs, they're funding that work that I'm required to do on behalf of all of those districts. So to do that work, I have, next slide, 24.25 FTEs, 3 in administration, 15 in tax services, and 6.25 in finance. My budget is broken down into 81% paying for people to serve people, and the other 19% is controllables. The majority of that is for contracts. Banking contract, bond counsel contract, financial services contract, processing all those tax payments costs money, and that's through a contract. So there's not a lot of room to cut when it comes to the treasurer's office. Professional credibility is important. I'm not going to go through all these, but they are in the packet if you want to review them. I do have certified public accountants. I have public fund investment managers, which I also am one. And we also have a lot of credentials and certificates of excellence across the public sector finance organizations. Administration, me, Sarah Lowe, my chief deputy, and 1 administrative support professional handle all of the policies and administration, communication, which is on the next slide. We also do all of the strategic planning and performance measures. You could ask me any statistic in my office and I could pull it up in an app and tell you exactly how we're doing. And that's important to me because it creates transparency in government. My tax services division is 15 FTEs, and they are doing a ton of work. So the next slide shows the property tax processing and collection, real estate excise tax, mobile home moving permits. Yes, if you want to move your mobile home, you got to come see us. And also interdepartmental services. The volume of work, I can't understate it. I really do want to stress that the figures of individuals that come to us for assistance is in the tens of thousands. We see 22,000 people annually just in the joint lobby alone, and I'll go through some of those numbers. But we couldn't do that work without a partnership. Our county is the only one in the state of Washington that cross-trains employees from the auditor and assessor's office to do each other's work. So if you come to see me to pay your taxes, but you also want to pay your real estate excise tax because you just sold a house and you want to get that document recorded, before the joint lobby, you would have had to come to me to pay your real estate excise tax, pull another ticket, go to the counter to see the auditor to record your document. And if you needed any property valuation questions, you would have gone and pulled a ticket to go talk to the assessor. So you can do all the same work with any of our employees. It's a cross-trained program and it works really well. So the annual property tax cycle, which, well, this is the systems we use. I guess an important part I wanted you to know, and this costs money, is that all of our systems have to talk to one another because we are doing work on behalf of each office. So it flows through all the way from our point of sale system all the way to the back end to the auditor when you're recording and indexing those transactions. And we've been working really hard on making sure those systems talk to one another. Fun facts, we have 193,802 billable parcels in Clark County. So that's how many accounts I'm managing. We have a 98.8% collection rate. If you do not pay real property taxes within 3 years, I go through the Superior Court and I do foreclose on homes. We also do the same with business personal property. I will distrain assets and hold an auction and sell off the assets to pay for property taxes. In 2025, we had over $1 billion in our property tax roll, and the general fund was less, for the county, was less than 9% of that total tax roll. So the county is a tiny portion of the overall bill. And that's important because we do have a universal billing system. I bill on behalf of all taxing districts. So when people call and they're mad at the county about their tax bill, more than likely 33% or more was voter approved, and it's also the state schools tax and all the other district taxes. And those taxes support a lot of really good services, which you guys know about, and I included in the slide. 70%, and it was mentioned earlier, goes to law and justice of the general fund, but elections, the assessor's office, public health, code enforcement, animal control, and other services also are paid for from those funds. Let's see, I told you I'd tell you a little bit about statistics. So we processed over 15,000 transactions in real estate excise tax. So every home that closes in Clark County comes through our office. Before you can get those keys, we've touched that document. We've also collected over $106 million, both in state and local revenue. And then I'll go through the next one quickly. The last division is my financial division. I have 17 members at 6.25 FTEs. They're handling over $9 billion in transactions annually, and they're reconciling those bank accounts on a daily basis. It's important to know that if we take in a deposit, let's say you have school bond financing and they closed on a bond, they may not use, let's say that $100 million they just sold right away. Takes time to build schools. I'll take those funds and I'll invest them. And our investment program, which you can go to the next slide. That's my financial team. They're awesome. So there's the 4 things: cash, investment, financial reporting, and debt. This is my cash management team, what I was talking about. So $9 billion in transactions. They have daily liquidity. They deal with all the school warrants. So if you are a school and you're paying a bill, they have to upload it to a portal in my office. We have to make sure they have the money in the bank to pay that bill. So they're doing daily reconciliations, and that's all going through an online portal, which I just got budget for this year to start looking at replacing. And then investment, which was my drum roll. This last year, 2025, we closed out earning about $47.7 million in interest earnings that went back to each of those districts that they could use for their core services. The pool participants, about 50% is county funds, approximately 36% are school districts, and then the rest round out with cities and ports and a few other smaller shareholders. So key highlights under debt, and this is my very last portion of my presentation. We manage the debt for the county and we hold the bond council contract, but I also help with the fiscal management and payment of all debt for all those other districts. So we have about $1.2 billion in debt in the county for our taxing districts. About 71 million is county debt. The remaining 1.2 million is all other debt. Fire engines, schools, buildings. We have the debt portfolio for all of them. I did provide my goals and some challenges. Challenges, we are a fast growing county and we're doing our best to not increase our FTE count. We have the same number of employees as we did 20 years ago. So we're trying to be efficient, use technology, and we know that we're going to have to keep pace with the need of technological upgrades and also cybersecurity and fraud prevention. That is probably the one thing that keeps me up at night because I'm in control of a lot of money and I'm charged with protecting those funds. I did leave a list of resources and links if you wanted to dive in more, and I invite any of you to come take a tour of my office anytime. If you're contemplating the fiscal impacts of any of your charter proposals, I'm happy to give you an unbiased and educated opinion. So thank you for allowing me to present about my office, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Treasurer Topper, for that insightful information. Commissioners, we have a few minutes for questions. We'll start with Commissioner Donnelly, please.
Wonderful. Thank you so much and for being here. And my question would be, since I know we don't have too much time, but I really want to know, is there one thing that you would like to see changed about the charter from your experience and your expertise that we may not have thought of?
You know, I was asked that by a few candidates prior to the election, and the charter is like my operational guiding book, my Bible in the county. I feel as though it's written very well. I think the last amendments touched on a lot of points. There wouldn't have been anything that I would have felt was super pressing. I think you guys are really getting down to like the nitty gritty detail at this point and maybe some more grandiose ideas. But I don't have any recommendations for you all today.
Commissioner Jay, please.
Thank you, Chair Erickson. Thank you, Treasurer Topper. Just a quick question. It seems like a great program to have the 3 executive finance or teams to work together in terms of sharing your employees. Is there a risk of that going away if a new person is elected into one of those positions? Obviously, one of those people isn't running for re-election. And why do you think that other counties haven't adopted a similar model of sharing employees in this lobby between their 3 executives that deal with these areas?
Great question. Our partnership is structured under a memorandum of understanding. So if a new elected came in and they decided to go on their own, that model would be in jeopardy. I believe that our citizens have experienced and now demand a certain level of service, and that elected would get a lot of pushback from the people we serve. It would decrease customer service and increase our wait times, which I think would be a negative impact. The reason the other counties haven't isn't because they don't have a desire to do so, but in a lot of counties, the 3 electeds do not get along. And to get 3 electeds to come to an agreement to share staffing resources is a very heavy lift. Because people come tour us all the time, go away with big dreams, and they die when someone's stubborn and don't want to do it. Yeah.
Commissioners, are there any other questions or comments? I don't see anything from Commissioners Hamlick or Landisburg either. I don't see any more in the room. Thank you so much, Treasurer Topper, for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Commissioners, we'll move on now to committee reports, starting with the Public Outreach Committee. Commissioner Holmgren, please.
Thank you. So thank you for everybody who has had a chance to submit to the public comment form or has taken a look at it so far. That went live last week. We've received a few responses, but we haven't received a huge number yet. If you have people that you want to share it with, please go ahead and share the public comment form with them. One of the things that I've gotten a couple of questions on is how are the results or the input from those going to be shared with us? Our plan is that we will be once a week downloading the responses from the public comment form and then compiling that into some sort of digestible format that will be shared with everybody at each as part of the regular meeting updates. Not sure if that'll be happening starting next week or it'll be the week after, but we will be having that conversation about downloading the results from the public comment form and sharing that out with you all. Also, the newsletter, we sent out the first round of the newsletter at the beginning of this week. Thank you to everybody who submitted email addresses for local organizations. If there are other organizations that you would like to add, please let me know. As of right now, the sign up method for the newsletter is sending either me or the general charter review email, an email asking to join. We're hopefully gonna have a form where people can sign up at some point, but we just don't have it yet. Finally, town halls. We have the 2 that were, I think, announced last week. We'll have one on May 17th in District 2. We will have one on June 6th in District 4. That's Saturday, June 6th at the Camas Public Library. And we have one confirmed for Saturday, May 23rd at the downtown Vancouver Library. And that'll be at, I think, 10 a.m. We're still working on finding a location and a time for Districts 3 and 5. Are there any questions or comments?
Commissioner Adekame, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to clarify, Commissioner Holmgren, which district the downtown Vancouver?
District 1.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Klein, please.
Commissioner Holmgren, were you able to secure an afternoon slot at the campus library? You're shooting for 3 to 5.
Yes, we got a confirmation 3 to 5 on the 6th.
Thank you.
Commissioner Donnelly.
Yes, my question would be, are you hoping that more than the district commissioners will come, or are you just sort of focusing on the 3 commissioners?
I think it only needs to be the 3 from each district, though in advertising it, I don't feel like we need to suggest that only those from those districts attend. You know, they're spread out across time as well. So if someone can't attend the District 1, but they can attend the District 2 because of availability and schedule, obviously I think we should be open to receiving feedback and public comment from people at any of those locations. If you are going to be attending, it would be good to let the Public Outreach Committee know, just to make sure we don't have more than 7 attend any of the public town halls.
So I'll make a comment on that topic. So in the past, when there have been discussions about members of the commission who are going to be speaking at events, we had discussed that we would coordinate that through Michelle, that she could be the clearinghouse to make sure that we don't go above 7. So why don't we agree that if there's someone who wants to come to one of the open houses in a district in which you don't reside, would you please coordinate that through Michelle and make sure that we don't have more than 7 attending? Commissioner Silman, please.
I was just going to say, it appears to be coincidental that you just started up your efforts to outreach and we have a whole bunch of public comments here. So I just wanted to express some kudos for making that happen and reaching out to the public and making them at least aware of what we're doing and encouraging them to be here. Just take credit. Just take
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it seems like coincidence, but great. I am so glad that people came today.
Commissioner Holmgren, I have a couple of questions. So with respect to the survey results, you talked about sharing those with us weekly. We're taking votes every week. Is there a way for the results of the survey, at least with respect to the amendments that are coming up for vote, to be emailed to the members of the commission, say Tuesday or something like that, so we could see what the public is saying with respect to the amendments that we're about to vote on?
Yes, I think we can absolutely do that. Yeah, I don't see any reason that we can't try to have something summarized.
Okay, and Michelle, who probably will make that happen, is saying yes as well, so thank you. And well, not to minimize the role of the Public Outreach Committee, but Michelle would have a role in that as well. Anything else that you would want to say on that topic?
One other thing to note is that the Public Outreach Committee is working on a document that will summarize the expectations for all of us at the town halls, and also a presentation template that can be shared among all of us, that will kind of serve as the basis for just explaining our work, what we've been doing, and trying to keep it as neutral and consistent as possible.
Thank you. You preemptively answered a question I had, and that is, what is the responsibility of the members of the committee, of the commission who come to their own town hall? So it sounds like you'll be providing direction on that. Correct? Okay.
Yeah, hopefully at the next week's meeting.
Okay. And these are information, they're not intended to lobby for or against any amendments, correct? Okay. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share? Okay, well, thank you, Public Outreach Committee, for all the work that you're doing on behalf of the commission. I've heard positive reactions to your work, so thank you. Okay, we'll next move on to get updates on our amendment study committees. We will forego updates on any committee that's already had a committee report or those that are scheduled for a committee report today. So we'll begin with 2607, recording land supply and construction cost analysis. Commissioner Jay, please.
Same as last week, all has been submitted to the PA's office as well as Financial Services Office, and just waiting before I start my presentation since that has a little bit of time before.
Okay. 2608, requiring supermajority council for approval of county taxes. Commissioner Jay.
All those were also submitted. My presentation is next week. I haven't yet heard back, so I'm hoping to hear back shortly, or else I'll alert leadership that might be a slight delay, but I have everything pretty much ready, hoping to just plug in once I get here from Financial Services Office and from the PA's office as well, but just wanted to give that heads up.
Thank you. 2613, legislative branch employees. Commissioner Silman.
That's to the prosecuting attorney and financial services, waiting to hear back. Thank you, sir.
Okay. And then 2614, performance audits, also Commissioner Silman.
Same with that.
Okay. Thank you. 2620, limitation on consecutive terms for county council members. I'm the chair. The detailed policy form has been submitted to both the prosecuting attorney's office and financial services. The committee has met, and there's research underway as well as waiting back for feedback from the PA and financial services. 2623, revised. 2623, revised council powers regarding boards and commissions. Commissioner Adegwame, please.
The revised form has been submitted to the PA's office, still awaiting feedback from the PA's office and the financial services office.
Thank you. 2615, ethics. Commissioner Gasquet.
We're still waiting for feedback from prosecuting attorney and financial services, and we are also slated to present next week. So I'm a little concerned that we're not going to get that information in time, especially with the complexity of the proposal.
Okay, when we get to comments from support staff, we'll ask our PA representative to comment on that. (2624) require annual report publication by the county manager. Commissioner Adegwame, please.
Thank you, Chair. Have not yet convened the committee. We'll be convening the study committee this week to review, put the correct forms together, and then submit.
Thank you. 2626, Clark County's requirement to support public safety. Commissioner Donnelly, please.
Yes, in response to some reviews from a number of people, we have decided to add a financial emergency clause language, and we have submitted that to legal. So it's in legal, and our costs are being computed and evaluated by Mitchell Kelly and his team.
Thank you. (2632) whistleblower protections for county employees. Commissioner Adegwame, please.
Thank you, Chair. The committee will be convened this week to revise the form and submit.
Thank you. 2637, County Council Legislative Authority. Commissioner Silman.
Same. That's been submitted to the prosecuting attorney and financial services.
Thank you. And then 2640, amending the initiative, mini initiative, and referenda process. Secretary Garber, please.
All of the paperwork has been turned in to the prosecuting attorney's office and financial services, and we're just waiting to hear back from them and anxiously awaiting our presentation.
Thank you. That concludes our study committee reports. We'll next move to ask for an update from drafting committee. Commissioner Gasquet, please.
So we're scheduled to meet on Friday, and Commissioner Landsberg has actually already taken a first stab at formatting our first resolution, and everything's looking pretty good at this point. So I think our Friday meeting should be pretty productive and pretty fast. We still need to elect a chair and then kind of determine our procedures from there.
Okay, thank you. That concludes our committee reports. Move on to comments by support staff. Start with Michelle. Michelle, is there anything that you'd like to share with us, please?
Just as we're reaching May, Memorial Day is on May 5th, which does cut slightly into our week. Usually all of documents are into me on that Monday. So I just want everybody to make sure to have any documents into me by Friday, May 22nd. And as of now, that includes 2632, 2633, and 2637 to be presenting that day for that week. And then just Counselor Young messaged me or emailed me and stated that he emailed me his comments. So I will make sure that you guys all get those, as well as the presentation that was presented today by Treasurer Topper.
Michelle, I have a clarifying question.
Mhm.
The holiday is on the 5th?
On the 25th.
25th.
On Monday.
I missed the 2. Thank you. That answers my question.
Sorry. Did I say it?
Also clarification. So the committee reports that are scheduled for that following Wednesday on May 27th are 2620 and 2626. And I think you've sent some emails to those committees asking that documents be submitted on the prior Monday, or sorry, the prior Friday.
Friday the 20th.
Okay, and so that would apply to 2620 and 2626 based on our current committee presentation schedule.
Okay.
Ask Secretary Garber to make sure that we're on the same page there, but I believe that I'm looking at the latest version of our schedule. And I believe you sent some emails asking for accelerated submissions with that schedule in mind.
Okay.
Anything else, Michelle?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Kathleen.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay. I don't see Johnny online. Is that correct?
No, she's not here today.
Okay. And then we'll go to Kevin. I will preface it by saying that we've received a request from the prosecuting attorney's office reflective of, we're receiving support from both Kevin and Katie. And we've been asked that if we need to email the prosecuting attorney's office, that emails be sent to both Kevin and Katie at the same time. In the past, we have been sending them to Katie alone, and we've been asked if we would change that practice and send them to Katie and Kevin at the same time. So when we now talk about contacting or emailing the prosecuting attorney's office, that should be understood to mean Katie and Kevin together, please. Kevin, is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
Well, I was going to say no, but since you, I think, asked me to address the matter of some of the outstanding proposals, what I can share with the commission is that as to Commissioner Silman's proposal number 2613, the PA analysis of that should be coming out tomorrow. As to Commissioner Jay's proposal 2607, that should be coming out within 2 weeks. Hopefully sooner than that, but at the outset, I'll set a limit of 2 weeks. As to the other proposals, I don't have information about those.
Kevin, do you mean when you were referring to Commissioner Jay's, are you referring to 2608 on supermajority for county taxes?
2607 requiring land supply and construction cost analysis.
Okay, so 2607 is scheduled for May 20th and 2608 is scheduled for May 6th, 2 weeks before then.
Hold on one second. I'll look at my list here.
Okay, while you're looking, Kevin, entertain a question from Commissioner Alaguame, please.
Thank you, Chair. Super quick question. Can we just have Kevin's last name so it's easier to find in the global address book for the email?
Sure, it's McDowell, McDowell. And yeah, what I was saying was correct. So May 20th, 2607, Commissioner Jay's proposal.
Correct. That is correct. 2607 is scheduled for May 20th. However, Commissioner Jay has Amendment 2608 scheduled for presentation on May 6th and is in the queue before 2607.
And I, as I indicated, I don't have information about any other proposals, just those two.
Okay, Commissioner Jay, I'll encourage you to reach out to the PA's office on that topic. Okay, Kevin, anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Selman, please.
I think when we talked to the PA last time about scheduling these, it was based on when we got them the form. Have we since communicated to them what the schedule is so they can prioritize it that way? Is that
Yes,
what I'm
both the PA's office as well as financial services have been receiving this schedule and updates to it along the way. And the financial services has been sending back their own status report on every amendment.
Okay. And I just want to take a second to commend the PA's office. I know they may seem late in getting mine because I only started receiving information on Friday, but they've been very responsive since then and like every day getting an update and additional feedback. So just want to commend them for their efforts in doing that. I know they have a lot on their plates.
Thank you. Yes, Kevin, to you and Katie, thank you very much for your assistance and support of the Charter Review Commission's work. I know I've seen some emails come back from your office late at night endeavoring to get quality work done in a manner that facilitates our schedule. So thank you very much for that.
I'll pass that along to Ms. Jolma as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, commissioners, that concludes our comments by support staff. And looking at the clock, I would like to suggest we take a short break. Is there a motion to do so?
Moved, Commissioner Jay.
Okay.
Klein, second.
Okay, is there any opposed? Okay, seeing none, we'll take a break. We'll come back at 6:08, please. Commissioners, could you please find your seats?
And we're live.
Welcome back, commissioners. Returning to our agenda, we have no old business, so we'll move on to new business. Commencing with our study committee presentations. Starting with 2631 Ethics Review Commission to consist of 5 members. Commissioner Hamlick is the chair. Commissioner Hamlick, I know you're online. Are you there?
Hold on. Here she comes. She's
Sorry,
on.
guys.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Hamlick. We're glad that you're here. Commissioner Hamlick, are you going to be making the presentation?
I am tonight, yes, and sorry
Okay.
I'm not there in person.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you here. And Michelle, if you could set the timer to 30 minutes, please.
30? Thought it was 20.
And Commissioner Hamlick, are you ready to begin?
I am.
Okay, please begin.
All right. First, good evening, commissioners and members of the public. I will tonight be presenting Amendment 2631. It's to increase the Ethics Review Commission to 5 members. I am the chair, and I have a committee of Liz Klein and Janet Landensberg. Next slide, please. And the current Ethics Review Commission was established back in November 2021, as we know, and it currently has 3 members. And they're appointed by the county manager and confirmed by the county council. They're unpaid volunteers who are responsible for hearing and ruling over ethics complaints. Next slide, please. And why are 3 members too small? As I've watched many of the last 3 years of these commission meetings, there are frequent risks of quorum issues. There's higher chances of deadlocks. Diversity of perspectives is very limited. It's harder to manage the workload, and it reduces public confidence in the ethic process. Next slide, please. So I'm making a very simple and targeted change in my proposed amendment, and it's very simple, and it will amend Charter Section 8.13. And all I'm asking is to propose text to be added of consisting of 5 members, or 4 words consisting of 5 members. Next slide, please. So right now, this is exactly the wording from that section 8.13, except for the part in red, which is what I would like to add. So it states, on or before July 31st, 2027, the county manager, in conjunction with the Clark County, with the county council, and as per section 3.3b of this charter, shall appoint an autonomous ethics review commission consisting of 5 members, comprised of qualified individuals in the area of ethical conduct in government, which will be charged with hearing, and ruling on complaints of violations of code of ethics. An ethics oversight office shall be, you're moving it on me there, ma'am. Get back here. An ethics oversight office shall be established by the county manager to operate an ethics complaint hotline, accept and investigate potential ethics complaints, and provide staff support to the Ethics Review Commission. The Ethics Review Commission and Oversight Office will be administered through the office of the county manager. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits for expanding this to 5 members? First of all, reliable quorums, reduce the risk of the deadlocks. Most important, a broader range of perspectives and expertise, stronger public trust, and this aligns with the best practice. Next slide, please. Fiscal impact is 0 as there are unpaid volunteers on the commission. The workload will not change since you increase the members, you don't increase the complaints. There might be a slight cost, not sure how much yet from the financial folks, but additional licenses may be needed for software communication, but they're expecting that to be very minimal. Next slide, please. What this amendment affects. Only Clark County Charter Section 8.13. There is no effect on any other departments, boards, or commissions. In the RCWs, a local charter controls chapter. This is how it reads, if any provision of this chapter conflicts with any provisions of a city or county charter or with any provision of a city-county charter, the charter shall control it if it contains stricter requirements than this chapter. The provision of this chapter shall be considered as minimal standards to be enforced by municipalities. Next slide, please. So this is my resolution. I'm not going to read through the whereas. So can I get the next slide, please? Can we read through that? So again, this is really important. All I am asking for this amendment to do, or we are asking for this amendment to do, is add 4 simple words to that section, and it all states is consisting of 5 members. That is it. Next question, please. Or next slide, I mean. And that is all I have. I want to thank you for your time, and I will take any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Hamlick. Commissioners will now open up the floor to questions. As we began with the last committee report, we'll oscillate between commissioners who would like to speak in favor or against the amendment. I will begin with a commissioner who would like to speak in favor of the amendment. Commissioner Chrisley, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Hamlick, for this presentation. I think it's pretty clear that changing from 3 to 5 is pretty much a no-brainer, right? It opens it up. There's no deep impact. It's a 1 line item change. And I think for that reason, it's an easy support, and I encourage everyone else to get it to the ballot and just make this change.
Thank you. Is there a commissioner who would like to speak against the amendment? Commissioner Holmgren?
This isn't really in opposition. It's more of a neutral position. I do have a question, which is, are we sure there will be enough interest to get qualified applicants for the additional positions? I assume there will be, but I wasn't sure if we asked that question of anybody.
Can I answer that? I mean, that's a great question. And Morgan, our Commissioner, I also had that same thought process too. I can tell you now, watching 3 years of these meetings, the 3 that they have had are very qualified and very good at this. So doesn't seem like they are having an issue. They did have a resignation in 2025 of one of their committee members, but it was filled pretty promptly. So I'm thinking, because I too was thinking the same thing, I am thinking that I think I'm pretty impressed with who's applying and how the county manager is dealing with them. Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Alagwami, would you like to speak in favor of the amendment?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I would. Although I do think it doesn't go far enough in the interest of paring down what goes to the ballot. I do think it should be combined with 2615, which I think has the same intent but goes further. But in general, I do think this is a step in the right direction, and history and progress is made of small steps. So I'm in favor.
Thank you. Is there a commissioner who would like to speak next in opposition? If not, we can entertain another comment in favor. Commissioner Klein?
Yes, as a co-sponsor, I am in favor and will vote for this. I do have a question, Chair, if I may pose it to County Manager Otto, please.
Are you okay with that, Kathleen? Please proceed.
The qualifications for those who submit applications to be on the ethics board, can you speak to the qualifications, please? And then your selection process.
Yes. So when we put out the press release for it, it's understanding of what ethics is in government and have experience understanding and applying what that looks like. And then for the selection process, I have somebody from our PA's office, the HR director, and myself do the interviews. I'll just say we did have a lot of good candidates this last round. And we have a set number of questions that we ask them all. And we had a tough choice this last round. And if I can just share, I know I'll be sharing, giving feedback next week. I agree 3 doesn't work. We've had issues because of absences or conflicts. The 3's in code. I am more than happy to put it to 5 in code and present that to council. So I just wanted to share that information.
Thank you. Commissioner Jay, are you speaking in favor or against the amendment?
In favor.
Okay, please proceed.
It was a very quick one. I was Kathleen Otto's remarks on it being in code did answer one of my side questions, though, about how we ended up with 3 exactly when it wasn't in the charter. But my only comment is I see no reason to not support this. I think that diversity of viewpoints, form challenges, it all makes sense. The only thing I really pull off is that we wouldn't be able to jokingly refer to it as a triumvirate. But aside from that, I can't foresee any drawbacks on this.
Thank you. Mr. LeBrun, are you speaking in favor or against it?
I guess generally in favor. Wanted to express my appreciation to the study committee on this. As I'm looking through it, it's very thorough and seems to have really touched on all the different points with the resolution and the ballot language and the analysis. I feel like we're very properly equipped when it comes time for the actual vote. So thank you for the folks that really, hammered all this out.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, pro or con, that anyone would like to share? Commissioner Benton, please.
I just have a question. Is there a reason, or can you speak to why it was deemed not a good fit to merge with Commissioner Gasquet's amendment?
For me, I think if this would work really well with Dorothy's. I agree, because I do think it needs to go further, especially after watching the 3 years of meetings. There's a lot here that needs to be addressed, more so that what's even in that Dorothy's amendment. But if we can get one small step in the right direction, it's better. I'm just worried. I'm worried about it not being done at all if I put it in a bigger bill. That's what I'm really worried about, or a bigger amendment.
Commissioner Benton, do you have another question?
A follow-up for Commissioner Gasquet. Are you considering changing it to 5 in yours?
It's already written as
Okay, gotcha.
no less than 5.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Commissioners, are there any other questions or comments? Commissioner Alagwami, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, just a quick question as a follow-up to Commissioner Benton's question, which was illustrative, and thank you. Now, at what point do we think that we should present to the voters two amendments that are ostensibly starting at the same point? One goes further and then one maybe doesn't do the whole rest of what 2615 does. I mean, is that something that as a commission, and this is just a general question to the body, do we think that that is the right step to take, to forward two things potentially to the voters, which are ostensibly doing the same thing and moving in the same direction, just in different amounts?
Commissioner Klein, would you like to respond to that?
Well, given Commissioner Hamlick's comment, her desire to get this on the ballot at the very least is worthy. I think that Commissioner Gasquet spoke to, or someone spoke to, the complexity of her ethics amendment. I would like to see them both advance and then potentially consider merging them later. But what if Commissioner Gasquet's complex ethics amendment doesn't pass? This one is very simple, and I think it's very amenable to the voters that it would get on the ballot and it would pass. So it's just a hedge against losing one or both and not getting this particular change to the ethics committee size.
Thank you. I sense that the discussion has evolved beyond just simple yes or no in order to more general discussions. We won't go to the extent of asking for and against, but Commissioner Stillman, please.
Could I elaborate on that process a little bit? So both of these, we haven't heard the second amendment that's related to this, but both of these would have to go to drafting and be approved by this body again. At that point, individual commissioners could decide to choose one over the other at that point. But the charter also does address, I believe, if two amendments go to the ballot, that there's a superiority thing that would take effect if voters approved one over the other, or if they approved both, then the language would have to be incorporated. So I think the charter speaks to that.
Commissioner Hamlick, you have your hand up. I'll let you talk since you're the sponsor, please.
Yeah, and I totally agree with all of you that this needs to be even further. And I do agree that merging the two would be ultimately the best. However, I think if we put in front of the voters two complex amendments, we're going to have a hard time, I believe. Maybe not. Maybe I'll be all wrong, but we need to fix the ethics committee, the commission. It needs some work. I suggest you guys take a couple days out of your life and watch their meetings. It really needs some direction. So I know it's a small bite. That's what I know. And I am more than happy to do more bites if I can.
Okay, we'll go to Commissioner Jay, and then Secretary Garber has a comment, and then we'll come to you, Kevin.
I'm just weighing in on the conversation about how we consider some amendments. Just kind of a universal truth of politics is that the more complicated an issue is, the harder it is to build a coalition to solve it. Real life comparisons could be the Montreal Accords, where we fixed the hole in the ozone layer by getting rid of that one chemical rather than solving global warming is much more difficult. So I think it's a good idea sometimes to have a more complicated and more simple one, because to weigh as the commission moves on to deliberate on which one works best for us and which one can gain the most support.
Thank you. Secretary Garber, please.
Although I love the idea of increasing it to 5, I'm just kind of a little bit confused. We had our county manager say that she believes it's a great idea. She could write it into code, so it could already be corrected without putting it to the ballot. Then we have Commissioner Gasquet, who also puts at least 5 to the ballot. So I'm just not really convinced that this might need to be on the ballot, since it sounds like this could move forward just in code. But I do think it's great to have 5 ethics commissioners.
Yeah, so before we come back to staff comments, I want to make sure that we allow all commissioners to have comments first. So Commissioner Donnelly's not yet spoken.
So very briefly, we are going to be asking the voters to consider some very complicated amendments. And I think one that is simple in this manner is going to be very well received. So I am in favor of keeping them separate and just thinking of the voters and how much they're going to have to take in with our amendments.
Thank you. Is there a commissioner who has not yet made a comment that would like to? Commissioner Gaskin.
I just want to speak to the concept of not doing the complicated work. This initial 812 and 813 were the simplified version of what I had proposed in 2021. And I came back to this commission and was elected to this commission to improve the language in the charter based on the fact that our current system is not functioning. So the voters do want us to complicate it a bit.
Commissioner Holmgren.
I think, and I think I've mentioned this, and we mentioned this at the second reading of this one. It makes sense to me that we would move both of these forward probably to the point where we're deciding what goes on the ballot for 2026 and 2027. And I think we would think, at least to me, we do the more complicated one for 2026. If it doesn't pass, then we have the opportunity to say we can still go back and take the smaller bite at the apple that we think is going to pass in 2027. Now, we still have time to discuss that. We can have conversations about which one should go first and sequencing, but that would be my preference. And that's how I think we should go about it.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Landisberg, please.
So is there any way before we actually get to a final vote in July that we could know whether or not you could get the council to pass this in code so that we would have one less amendment on the ballot for the voters to deal with this time?
Is that a question to Kathleen?
It's quite, yes, it is.
Okay, we'll be coming to Kathleen and Kevin in just a minute. Commissioner LeBrand, please.
I'm wondering if there's language in both of the proposals, if this one moves forward, if it would be possible, rather than having a conflict, just to remove that one component from the other proposal and leave the rest of the other items in that proposal, so that there's no conflict. We still have the smaller, like kind of the baby step version. Just a thought.
Commissioner Gaskin, do you want to speak to that?
My current proposal rewords 813, so I don't know how we would merge the two that way. It builds in the 5 anyways, though.
Okay, are there any other commissioner comments? I'll share my own comment. I would remind the body that our work plan does have a portfolio, and that should this advance today and go to drafting, it would sit in the portfolio. And we have yet to see, the committee report from Commissioner Gaskin on her amendment. So we don't know the status of that yet. So some of the probabilities that we're contemplating are based on the outcome of the vote on that amendment. So while I think these are appropriate discussions, I think we should wait, let both advance, and then make decisions with more complete information to see how these two amendments fare. Okay, Kevin, I believe you were prepared to make a comment, and then Kathleen.
So I think
Yeah, talk in your microphone.
I think that Commissioner Silman raises a very good point regarding a potential conflict if both of the proposals were to advance, both go on to the ballot and both pass, and to avoid, if in the event that they do both pass on the ballot, to avoid any conflict, it might make sense to, when this goes to drafting, since they're essentially the same in terms of the 5-person composition of the ethics board, to have that language harmonized so that there is no conflict in the event that they both pass. That way you have one that's hedged, so to speak, as I can't read, my eyes are bad, as Commissioner, Gentlelady Commissioner over here mentioned, you have one that's a hedge and then one that goes further. But as to the 5, they're both in harmony and without any conflict. So that would be my recommendation.
Thank you. Kathleen?
Yes, I just want to clarify, which Commissioner Landisberg touched on, is council has to approve the code change. That's not something I can do independently. And I will move forward with them and keep you all up to date on what that schedule could look like, just for your information.
Okay. Commissioner Adequame, and then we'll go to Commissioner Silliman, and then we'll make sure that Commissioner Hamlick has any final comments.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick note that I think, based on the comments we've just heard, that I would suggest this be deferred. I'm in support of it. I think it's a good step to take. I do think it's not urgent, given what we've heard here tonight, and we should try and put that into the 2027 portfolio, see how the other one fares, as well as see how the alternative path that Kathleen has presented today goes.
Commissioner Silliman?
I'm against deferring as suggested, but because I think we still have a chance for the sponsor to withdraw this if other agreeable means address her concerns. I was just going to ask the county manager, is this something that could be addressed at board time, just to see if the councilors next week, maybe just see if they would vote to move the idea forward, just so we could get a feel for what they think of it?
Yeah, I can. I can also ask them in my one-on-ones. I don't see any concern with them of changing code from 3 to 5. There is no
If we could
downside.
get just kind of an initial, yes, they agree to that. We know it would take time to move forward because you have to prepare a notice, obviously go through the process, but
Yes.
maybe that would be informative for the body if we just got kind of their feeling and a nod that they would like to move forward. That would be
Yes.
great.
Commissioner LeBrandt, please.
So some food for thought is that if we put this in the charter, that takes the option away from the council to make that change. So if we want to have it set to 5 folks and also want to remove the ability for future councils to change that, then that would be a benefit of moving forward with this proposal as it is. The other kind of food for thought thing is the way the work plan is currently structured, there's not actually anything that says we can't withdraw stuff later on in the process. So if council meets and discusses this over the course of the next couple of months, and we're still moving forward with this, and council adopts a 5-member committee, and we decide as a body, you know what, this is good, we can still withdraw it all the way up until, I don't know, I think it's like July or something, all the way before it's actually that deadline. So. And that also, I think, still falls to this body. So.
I'll speak to the work plan comment. Yes, that is correct. That we have the sponsor has the ability to pull the amendment at any point. Commissioner Jay, please.
Thank you, Chair. I have no qualms with the 3-pronged approach. I think having all 3 still alive, both potentially going through code on the council, should they decide to move on that on their own, as is their right. Having this amendment be alive, since a lot of the work has already been done, and it doesn't necessarily hurt, and having Dorothy's amendment also stay alive, letting that go through the PA review. Why am I echoing like that? Sorry. Having that go through the PA review and financial review, and make sure and have this commission vote on it. So to have all 3 alive both kind of reminds the county that we're moving forward with this, and they might decide to act on it beforehand. We could remove it then. And we can, if one of the amendments has their own issues, whether they don't pass this year, we also can fall back. So I think it doesn't hurt necessarily to have it all 3 alive still.
Okay. Are there any other, before we give Commissioner Hamlick any final comment opportunities, are there any other discussion points from commissioners? Commissioner Hamlick, would you like to make any final comments?
I just want to say that I'm happy with it just getting through. I'm happy with the county doing it. I'm happy blending it with Dorothy's. I know she has it in there. I've read her ethics, and I agree with hers. I'm on that as a co-sponsor also. So just anything to move it forward, I'm okay with.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, seeing no other comments from those in the room or online, we will move to a vote. The affirmative vote would advance this amendment to the drafting committee. Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Ottaguame,
Aye.
Commissioner Donnelly,
Aye.
Commissioner LeBranc,
Aye.
Chair Erickson,
Aye.
Secretary Garber,
Aye.
Commissioner Hamlick,
Aye.
Commissioner Chrisley,
Yes.
Commissioner Landisberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Jay,
Aye.
Commissioner Klein,
Aye.
Commissioner Gasquet,
Aye.
Commissioner Holmgren,
Aye.
Commissioner Benton,
Aye.
Vice Chair Haas,
Abstain.
Commissioner Silliman.
Aye.
So that's 14-1.
14 aye, 0 nay, 1 abstain. Thank you. So the amendment does move forward to the drafting committee. Thank you, commissioners. Commissioners, I'm going to propose that we move on to our next study committee presentation and forego another break in this meeting. So we'll next hear from the Committee on 2610, Revised Budget Transparency and Process. Commissioner Silliman as the sponsor. Commissioner Silliman, are you ready to begin?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please begin.
All right. This may sound familiar, but I reworded it so it sounds fancier.
Commissioner Silliman, can you speak into the microphone a little closer,
sir.
please?
This proposed amendment would amend Article 4, Financial Administration of the Clark County Charter to require earlier and more transparent budget development and publication. Specifically, it would require the county manager to publish budget preparation instructions, require county offices and departments and the county manager to submit and transmit budget-related information earlier in the budget cycle, require additional budget information be provided to the county council, and require specific budget documents and supporting material to be posted on a public-facing website. The purpose of this amendment is to provide the county council and the public with additional time to review and understand the proposed budget, thereby supporting more meaningful public participation and transparent decision-making. This amendment would move key milestones earlier in the budget cycle, including requiring the county manager to present in a public meeting a preliminary budget by the first week in September, rather than later in the fall. For example, in 2025, the budget was first publicly presented in the last week of October. If adopted, the amendment would revise internal deadlines to require earlier submission, transmission, and publication of budget material while continuing to meet timelines established by state law, and would require publication of budget preparation instructions, the preliminary budget, and other specified material on a public-facing website. Listed on the next slide is the timeline for last year's budget presentation. And we have a timeline that illustrates that, the time it went to the departments, the department response time in July through August, time the county manager had from mid-July to August 5th, at which time it was delivered to the council, and the first budget work session on the agenda page of the Clark County Council last year was on October 29th, with the final budget hearing on December 2nd. This proposed budget timeline would look like the second slide or the next slide.
Sorry, malfunction.
So the department response is backed up to, the deadline would be July 31st, which backs it up a couple weeks. There we go, thank you. The county manager still has 30 days to compile the proposed budget based on the department feedback. The council would get the information by August 31st, and the first part of September, the county manager would present the budget to the public and the council in a public meeting. This proposed amendment would also require a second public meeting or work session when the council refines that budget to closer to what their final budget is going to look like. They would present that to the public again, and then they would still have a final budget hearing, which is when they adopt the final documents at the end of November. So from my first presentation to this board, the language in the proposed amendment was actually flipped because it was based on an amendment that was proposed in Whatcom County last year, if you remember that. The amendment language was revised with dates for process deadlines instead of the, we'll call it legalese, that was in the prior proposal that I brought before you, which if you remember said days before the budget end of the budget cycle. So this presentation is easier to understand, hopefully. We did review all the requirements in the RCW 3640, which details county budget deadlines and milestones. So we verified that all the requirements and budget process was met. The county manager still puts the department budgets together into a preliminary budget. They submit it to the council in a work session. The council provides feedback. A comment period is still provided for the public that must be given by statute, and a public hearing for the public must be provided, and the budget must be adopted, all according to this RCW. So if you want to get to the actual proposed budget language, as you can see, honored before June 30th. So that's the language that I told you was changed from the original proposal a couple months ago or a month ago. Honored before June 30th, the county manager shall notify in writing each county official elected or appointed in charge of an office, department, service, institution, et cetera, of the county. So this is the requirement in statute to notify the departments that they have to provide the manager, county manager, the information for the budget. The only change in this, it's required by the RCW, but the deadline in the RCW is the second Monday in July. So this backs that deadline up to June 30th. The second item, honored before July 31st, each such official shall submit to the county manager the requested information and in the manner provided in the notice and form to prepare the budget. County manager shall transmit copies of the preliminary. That actually is another revision. It says budgets there. We changed it to estimates on my latest version. I had to submit this on Monday, and I was still working with Katie diligently to refine this just a little bit more. Since then, thank you to her. But again, so we changed that word preliminary budgets to preliminary estimates.
Commissioner Still, I'm going to jump in and just caution you to be careful about how you describe your interaction with the PA's office.
Thank you, sir. So it was changed to estimates to match the prior statement. This again exceeds the requirements in RCW 3640-030, which requires this be completed by the second Monday in August. So again, it backs it up a week and a half or 10 days. Third bullet point, honored before August 31st, the county manager shall transmit to the county council a proposed budget, which shall set forth the complete financial program of the county for the ensuing fiscal year, showing the expenditure program and the sources of revenue by which it is to be financed, and make the information available on a public-facing website. That requirement is in RCW 3640-040 and 050, which deals with preparation and transmission to the council. Again, it just backs up the requirement by a couple weeks. Onto the part that changes a little bit significantly is section 4.3. On or before September 8th, the county manager shall present to the county council in a public meeting the preliminary budget. And if you would, strike the rest of that because it's not necessary. This exceeds the requirements of the RCW in that it doesn't require a public presentation. But given the world that we live in, a lot of people are paying more attention to what is presented publicly, and they look at stuff that's presented on video. A lot of us examine meetings that the county council has by reviewing the video, not so much the written presentation. And a lot of us don't get the written notices that are in the paper of record, which who knows which one's the paper of record. Is it still the Reflector or is it the Columbian? So not many people are actually getting the Columbian or that notice that the paper copies are available. So this is a new requirement for a public presentation of the preliminary budget as proposed by the county manager. The second item is on or before October 31st, the county council shall hold a public meeting to present their preliminary budget and where anyone may appear and be heard for or against any part of the proposed budget. So this is the county council, after having a period of time to review the county manager's proposal, they can revise it and put before the public again what is their proposal. This is a public meeting, not a hearing, because they are not deciding the final product at this hearing. The final item is the hearing on or before November 30th. They shall hold a public hearing and by resolution adopt a budget, adopt appropriation, tax, and revenue ordinances required for the next budget cycle. So that last meeting is required by statute, but the other two that I'm proposing are not necessarily required by the statute. So this adds over 30 days for the county council to consider it and the public to view the proposed budget. It moves the budget adoption timeline into a timeframe not occupied by elections and holidays to promote more transparency, public engagement, planning, and accountability for how county funds are managed. This addresses all the legal requirements of the RCW 3640-010 through 090, requires the posting of additional budget material, which is allowed by law, and financial services confirmed that any financial impact would be minimal as we're not changing the budget process, but only changing budget timelines. This still gives 30 days for departments to compile a preliminary budget and send to the county manager. It gives 30 days for the county manager to compile a preliminary budget and send it to the council. It requires a new public budget presentation of the preliminary budget by the county manager. It gives the council 30 days to finalize a proposed budget, requires an additional, again, new public meeting for the council to present their proposed budget and hearing in a public meeting and hear public testimony. And it moves up the date for the final council budget hearing to November. Something I didn't add to my presentation, I'd like to read to you. This comes from RCW 4230, which is, if you're familiar with the statute, it's the Open Public Meetings Act. There's an interesting statement in there. It says, the people of the state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people in delegating authority do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know. The people insist on remaining informed and informing the people's public servants of their views so that they may retain control over the instruments they have created. For these reasons, even when not required by law, public agencies are encouraged to incorporate and accept public comment during their decision-making process. And I believe that's exactly what this amendment facilitates and encourages. I would also point out that this mirrors our own process that we are using in this committee. In our work plan, we have an initial presentation. We have a presentation after the study committee has revised it, and then we will have the final adoption of a drafted charter amendment. And that mirrors exactly what this budget amendment would do. It would require the county manager to present a preliminary budget, the county council to present their work in progress budget, and then at the end hold a final budget hearing where they adopt their final project. I hope that's clear. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I believe that public transparency is what the public wants, and I think this amendment delivers that.
The executive committee has a question about the presentation materials. Commissioner Sillen, we don't see your resolutions in your presentation, and Michelle, we don't see them posted to the website.
Didn't receive any. This is what I received.
Commissioner Sillen, did you submit the resolution packet?
I submitted that. I sent her this presentation first because I knew she needed that. I did send the other packet separately. I know I sent it to the executive team, and I don't think I sent this to the executive team, but I sent the resolution packet to the executive team, and I believe to Michelle on a separate email.
I'm happy to look.
Michelle, while you're looking, Michelle, do you have a comment?
Thank you, Chair. Kind of just a twofold comment. One being, I'm not certain if you've ever worked on the budget for an organization of the size that the county is, but what I do know from having worked on similar attempts at much smaller organizations, not the many, many millions that counties operate with, I've seen the many frequent month-end closes that our accounting folks do and the time that it takes for them to move through a budget process. So I'm curious if you had spoken with the folks at the county regarding how this process goes for them, what they feel about the deadlines, and how they work as a framework for the work that they're required to do in preparing the budget. I'm really in favor of transparency and accountability, so that part has no issue, but just curious how you dealt with the deadlines in speaking with the folks at the county. And then I noticed there was one slide where you had a date where it was changing it to on or before August 31st, and the original or the RCW below said the first Tuesday in September. So this year, for example, the first Tuesday in September is September 1st. So that would be a change of 1 day by the requirement. So I'm just curious how close some of those are, and if you'd looked at whether or not we're not getting the intent of your changes.
Well, again, since this was proposing a presentation in the first part of September by the county manager, it only backed up the other dates, the submissions to the county departments and their replies back to the county manager by just a small incremental amount. It doesn't change any of those processes or those notifications at all. It doesn't change any process. It only moves the dates. So that's why financial services feedback was that they expected the impact to be minimal because it wasn't impacting any of their processes at all. It's just moving the deadline slightly. Does that answer your question?
That answers the second part, yes, but could you also address the first part about speaking with the other folks at the county who may have been part of the budget process or who have responsibility in that process?
I contacted the budget department, but they didn't have time to provide a reply. So the only one I got back was from financial services, and their feedback was that they didn't expect there would be a dramatic impact, if there was any, because it's not even significantly changing the deadline. So they didn't see an impact to the budget process. So again, the only dramatic thing that this requires is a presentation in a public meeting of the county manager to the council and the public, where what their proposed preliminary budget is, and then an additional presentation of the county council's budget to facilitate public presentation and let them know where they're at.
Okay, I do find it a bit concerning that they didn't have time to get back to you and we're shortening deadlines, but thank you for answering my questions.
Commissioners, we're pausing to confer on the detail before we proceed.
It was not put on the website in any way. So the commission never, the rest of the body never saw this resolution packet or the.
Might have to table it till the vote till next week if I didn't get them to them.
So commissioners, the resolution packet was not posted to the website, wasn't shared with the commission. So we're not going to proceed with a vote on this today. And Commissioner Simon, I'd like to invite you to make your presentation next week, add it to the agenda next week. We'll start over.
Okay.
And between now and then, we'll make sure that this gets presented to the commission for review before a vote and gets posted to the website.
Would you like to answer any more questions tonight and still bring that back for additional discussion later, just so we can?
I'm going to suggest no, because you will get your full 30 minutes at the next meeting.
All right. Well,
Commissioner Donnelly.
Yes, did you really mean to say that he would start over I assume that he would not start over, that he would.
The presentation, his 30-minute allocation for presentation time for the committee will be allotted to him at the next meeting. And that's appropriate for this body to have information to make an informed vote. And that we need to have all the presentation materials before us, including the resolution packet, while we're listening to the presentation to make an informed vote. Because that hasn't occurred today, then we should not proceed with the vote. Commissioner Benton?
Do we need to push it 2 weeks to meet OPMA if we got to change the agenda? I just want to make sure that we're doing it the proper way.
No, we can put it on the agenda for next week. Thank you for asking. Commissioner LeBrant, please.
Just a general and neutral comment, actually, and one of them was paragraphs 1 and 2 refer to estimates in one spot and budgets in another. And so I wonder if there might be a Scrivener question there. But just more generally, I just want to express some frustration with the fact that this is one of multiple amendments that this body has seen come before us that seems to come from people not being able to find stuff on the website. And so I just wanted to express some general frustration with, like, I've struggled to find stuff on the website. We're now at the point of debating putting things in the charter that aren't even necessarily council level, that are maybe even staff level with PIO or website updates. And that doesn't pertain to this, like just this specific one. So thank you for the privilege of expressing some general frustration.
I'm not sure. Can you clarify a little bit more where your frustration is focused and what you're suggesting?
I'm wondering how many of the amendments before us could be addressed by just basic website updates, and I guess I'll direct that to staff as just a general, kind of a general comment. I don't know that we necessarily need a response, but I think it's worth mentioning that this isn't the only one like this.
Okay, so your comment is with respect to the appropriateness of amendments and whether or not there's administrative protocols that could negate the need for the amendments?
Yes.
Okay. You're not commenting on the decision to defer this vote to next week?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Gomez, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to understand, it seemed like Commissioner Stillman was reading from a different copy of the presentation than we were presented today. Is the expectation that he'd send out that copy as opposed to this copy? Are we maintaining this as the document we'll be working from? Sorry, the presentation as the document that we'll be working from in addition to the resolution packet that was supposed to be sent out, or what is the expectation there?
Well, I believe it was sent out. There's been some confusion about that process, but I would suggest that when we convene our meeting next week and this matter comes before us, that the materials that we have before us and what we receive between now and then, which should be the basis of the presentation, what you should base your vote on. So what you heard today, the materials you have before you today, to the extent that they are the same next week, you could rely on them, but I would suggest that your reliance upon materials should be based on what shows up posted to the website and what gets sent out between now and then.
Right. So I don't think the question was about what we should be basing our vote on. It was more on, are we ostensibly giving Commissioner Stillman more time to get a proposal that's ready to be, or a presentation that's ready to be presented to this commission? Or are we expecting the materials that were due at this meeting to be presented?
It's my understanding that the materials are presented, or they're prepared, they're finalized. Commissioner Stillman confirmed that, but the intent is to make sure that the materials are all available to the members of the commission. We're not extending the time frame to make revisions.
So then the notes that he was reading, which he said were from an updated copy, are not going to be the ones that we're considering next week.
I did just have one quote that wasn't in my presentation material. I quoted that section of the OPMA that wasn't included in my presentation material, but I can add it for the record as a page in.
Right, there's a slide that you mentioned you had changed and had said you would strike out this word in the updated version.
Yes, in the language. You're right. I did say I had an update on that specific language. Yeah.
So Commissioner Stillman, are you to clarify, I think if I understand Commissioner Alagome's question, your change that wasn't in the presentation was a material change to the amendment itself?
In the presentation, I did indicate that I had updated one word, which was budget, to estimate. And then in another section, I said strike that language because I determined since then that it was not needed or it was inappropriate because I had to submit this on Monday and I did some further study and refinement since then. So I can have that presentation updated for the commission by next week. So it's absolutely clear what the language is.
Okay, well, the intent is that what comes before this body in a committee report is finalized, should be the basis of the vote without verbal modification. So in this case, we have a unique circumstance where materials were not made available on the website or to the body. So there is an opportunity to make that one change, but the intent is that we're not doing that, that what we bring to this body for presentation does not get verbally modified in the meeting. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, so Commissioner Selman, if you can make sure that all of your finalized documents are to Michelle ASAP. And then we will modify our agenda next week by adding this to the agenda. Okay.
Can I just clarify? Can I just add the resolution language as was in the last presentation, just to the last couple of pages? It doesn't have to be in a Word document or.
Well, it should be the resolution packet. So your presentation should include the resolution packet.
Okay. I can, but again,
you can,
what I'm saying is that wasn't, I don't have a resolution packet for the previous one in my package. I just want to make sure I meet your expectations. It was printed out as a resolution in the PowerPoint on the previous.
Well, the format is less important as the content. So the presentation that you had here today didn't have the resolution, for example.
You're right.
You know, Commissioner Hamlick, we saw in her PowerPoint slides did. So the actual formatting is less important, but the content is critical.
We'll make sure you get the content, sir.
Yep. Commissioner Lagome, please.
Chair, given the schedule that we have for these presentations, would that put us at 3 presentations for next week? Is that the intent, or would we just bump that to the end where we have space so we can have 2 presentations per meeting? That seems to make more sense to me, that we just put it in line in the schedule.
The intent was to do 3 next week.
Okay.
Mr. Jay.
It is important now. I'm good. Thank you, though.
Okay. Okay, commissioners, if there are no other comments or questions, then that concludes our new business and we'll move on to good of the order. Are there any items that commissioners like to bring before the body for good of the order? Okay, seeing none, is there a?
Wait, and I do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Commissioner Landsberg. I apologize for missing you there. Please proceed.
I sent you and I think the executive board an email about how we were going to fill out the resolution cover sheet as to whose names were going to be on them. Whether it was just going to be the secretary and the chair, or are we going to have the chair and the co-chair and the secretary? And when we do those, we will also need contact information.
Thank you. That's a good question. We did receive that email and the executive committee discussed that that's an important detail that should first be discussed within the drafting committee.
So you want us to decide who we want to put on it as opposed to you?
We would like the drafting committee to address that and come back with a proposal that we could then discuss.
All right.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any other topics for good of the order? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, Commissioner Gay.
We moved in second to adjourn. Is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, we are adjourned.